Good evening. Welcome to Sugar and Silk, a unique boxing podcast brought to you exclusively by Ace Podcast Nation. My name is Ben Doughty,
My name is Michael Olajide.
and we are delighted to be joined this evening, stroke afternoon, by the inimitable former WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, Montell Ice Griffin. How's it going?
What's going on, Chan? How you doing, man?
How you
Silk,
doing,
what's
man?
happening, baby?
Hey, doing good, baby. It's great talking to you. I'm
Yeah.
an admirer of your skills and your abilities. I want to kick this off. How did you get your start in boxing?
Man, 2-3 years old, I just remember going to a boxing gym every day.
Really?
The whole story was my father took my brother Tim at the time to the gym so he could learn self-defense. Johnny Coulon, who was the bantamweight champ from Canada, was living in Chicago. He had a gym called Johnny Coulon's, and he taught my father the ropes. And he was getting old. He probably like 87 years old. He ended up selling the gym. My father bought it and changed it to Windy City Boxing Club.
Okay. Wow. And when was your first amateur fight?
Back in them days, you had to be 10 years old.
Yeah.
But my father lied on my age. I fought at 9 at the Ohio State Fair.
And you were training in the gym before then, though?
I mean, yeah, I've been in the gym. I've been in the gym my whole life, just, playing around, hitting the bags. Yeah.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible. Because I've always thought like the greatest fighters are the fighters that start before you get to double digits. You know what I mean? Like guys are like, they're 7, 8 years old, because one of the things about boxing is what stops you from learning is the pain. When you get hit, it's painful. So the later you start, the harder it is to, master the skills that you need, like blocking and defense, slipping punches and countering. But when you start at an early age, like you may get your feelings hurt, but you're not physically going to get hurt. And that's different, right?
I physically got hurt. Like my father put me in there, like he throw everybody, like he threw my cousin in the ring with my cousin like 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
So back in them days, if you 9, and the kid is 13, you know what I'm saying?
Hitting you like a man.
Right, he's 14 years old. So yeah, he's like a man. So I felt some pain, but I mean, it didn't throw me off or nothing. But I just know he was bigger than me. I didn't care. I just, I always, to this day, I always tell him I should whoop his ass because I should get payback. But the whole thing was, I was in the gym as a little baby, but my father used to have 9mm projector movies. I watched all those fights. I watched Joe Louis was his favorite. I watched Sugar Ray Robinson. I watched Willie Pep. I watched Jersey Joe Walcott. All the great fighters, but all the guys that was kind of slick, like Jersey Joe Walcott, like stood out to me more probably than any fighter.
Yeah.
I like guys who were slick, who didn't get hit, and then one day he showed me Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And from that day on, my mind was made up. He came home one day. He said, "Remember that guy you liked, you saw on video?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "We're going to see him." So I didn't believe him. I'm 5 years old, but I didn't know what to think. So I get in the car. We drive down to 47th in Chicago Hyde Park. Ali had a garage where he kept all his cars at. He had a boxing ring, and I walked in the door, and soon as I saw him, I said, "There he is." I saw him, and I noticed there was a long line of people.
Yeah.
So he was passing out money to everybody, one by one, passing out money. And when he got done, he said, "Come here." And he put me in his lap, and he kissed me, and we took a picture. And that's the picture I got when I was 5 years old with my father. So that was the day I knew I wanted to be champion of the world.
Wow. That's incredible. Dad?
I was going to say, Montell, I believe when your father passed, when you were 12 years old, I believe you stopped. I know that you stopped boxing for a long period of time, but I heard on the HBO telecast today when I was watching your first fight with James Toney, they said your mother and her faith as a Jehovah's Witness, it was her decision. She basically forbade you from continuing to box until you reached adulthood. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I don't hold no grudges against nobody. It is what it is. It bothers me to this day, but she was my mother. She felt she was making the right decision, but I felt if I was fighting when my father was alive, what difference would it make if he passed away? But who am I to say?
I'm sorry. So your father began your boxing career, but wasn't with you. When did he pass away? At what stage?
My father passed away when I was 12 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, I just said that right, Silk.
Right. So at 12 years old, my father died. I was going on 13, and my mother made me quit boxing, and I didn't do nothing for 8 years. I didn't watch it. I didn't go to the gym, and you know what I'm saying. I saw a few fights, like the big, huge fights I saw, but I was just so upset. I didn't even tell nobody because I was embarrassed because I couldn't fight no more. So I got into a couple of fights, and I was a small, short kid, but people just couldn't believe how good I could fight. So
yeah,
I got into some fights and everything, and then I told people, but I was just sitting in my house. I was 20 years old, sitting in my house, 210 pounds. I lost my job. My car broke down. I was fat as hell. Wasn't nothing going right, and I got a call from my nephew. He said, "Uncle, what you doing?" I said, "Man, I ain't doing nothing." He said, "Man, you need to come to LA and start boxing." I said, "Okay." And I answered him so soon. He was like, "Man, I'm for real." I said, "Shit, I'm for real." So I ain't doing nothing. And I end up one of my closest friends to this day. His father was a mechanic. He lived right behind me. I talked to his father. I said, "Look, man, I'm trying to do something with my life, man. Could you buy my car?" And he said, "Yeah." He gave me $500, and I bought a plane ticket, and I moved to LA. And that was the beginning of everything that happened in my life, in my career.
That's an incredible story. That's insane. Yeah. Like to start that late. I mean, you had a little amateur background and everything, but what you did as jumping.
Like I said, for 8 years, I didn't go in a boxing gym. I didn't run.
And then
I didn't train. I didn't.
He made the Olympic team. He made the Olympic team with in a year when he picked it up again.
Wow. 30 amateur fights. 30 amateur fights.
That's insane.
I won the U.S. championships with 21 amateur fights. I was number one in the nation. I beat the world champion with 22 amateur fights.
Yeah.
And I made the Olympic team with 30 amateur fights.
Yeah. Wow. And who were some of the competitors in your division at that time?
I beat John Ruiz. John Ruiz was number one in the nation. I beat him in the quarterfinals the semifinals to make the Olympic trials. Jeremy Williams was a real great fighter. Terry McGroom, good fighters and everything. So I came in. I just dominated the amateur boxing.
And so, what was it about your style that made you what was it that made you feel comfortable, that allowed you to get in there?
I was learning on the job. I was just doing what my body told me to do. Yeah. I don't remember learning how to box. So everything I did, I had a front row seat. Everything I did that was crazy. I'm like, I don't know how I did that, but I'm glad it worked. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're pretty much a reflex fighter, though, right? Like
like I said, I don't remember learning how to box, but I watched Muhammad Ali. I thought I was Muhammad Ali. Everything I did in the ring, I thought Muhammad Ali did. So I used to tell my father I was gonna be heavyweight champ of the world, and he never explained it to me. He just said, he said, "You're not gonna be heavyweight champ." He said, "You could be champ, but you ain't gonna be heavyweight champ." But he never explained to me that I was a midget. So. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand what he meant by that. But when I grew up, I'm like, shit, I'm short as hell. I said, that's what he meant. So I don't know how I fought the way I did. I don't know what. It just worked for me.
Can we talk about your Olympic campaign a little bit, Montell? Because I believe one of the themes that runs through your career is the sense that you got various injustices against you, and you never got the credit you deserved. Talk to me about the Olympics and that campaign.
Well, man, the Olympics, to this, I'm 53 years old. Making the Olympic team in a year and a half was the greatest experience ever, the greatest experience and the greatest accomplishment in my boxing career. I beat the world champion. I beat the gold medalist. I beat the silver medalist a month before the Olympics. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? I beat the gold medalist and silver medalist, but I don't have a medal, and that kills me. I fought Torsten Meyer, who was 6'5". I out-jabbed him. I hit him with a jab over the top of his eye, and it busted open. And the Germans had pulled the fight off. You can't find it nowhere because I was cheated. I was blatantly cheated. I hit him on the eye, busted open. He was bleeding like a pig, and they didn't stop the fight. What amateur fight do you know that they allow a fight to happen? I mean, a cut to happen.
Yeah. They stop it if it's cut.
So, my lawyer was calling me every day. He said, "Man, Hollywood is calling every day they want to make a movie about your life. Just keep winning. Keep winning.
Mhm.
And when I lost it towards somebody, the phone call stopped.
Wow. Let me ask something. It's different from what the direction Ben is going for a second. I want to pull it back. When you box, do you look at an opponent's eyes, his face, or his hands? Like,
I look at the shoulders. The shoulders let me know everything. What
Yeah.
type of punch you gonna throw? Everything.
yeah,
I look at the shoulders, the body movement. Cause I'm only 5'7". My reach only 69 inches. So
Yeah.
everything I did was off reflexes and timing and countering.
yes.
So I had to get in and out, and I just tried to. So like the beginning of a fight, I would just catch the jab.
Yeah.
I would see how far I would come. I would see how far I had to pull away, and then once I got that time, I would pull back where the jab would stop right here, and I just hit the guy.
Yeah.
So it was just my timing. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
guys who didn't commit, I had problems with. That's why I had problems with Antonio Tarver, because Tarver kind of scary, and he fight pull back, and he won't commit.
Yeah.
So guys like that always gave me problems because I was too short.
Yeah, they are very hard to fight because you never know when they're going to go, and once they fight, like they have that hyper reflex because they fight like with a little bit of fear. They don't settle.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you don't settle.
Him and Roy got kind of like a little herky jerky where they.
Yes.
And when I say scared, I don't mean it like in a bad way. I mean it just scared. Where
they have this really.
They got to come back and throw a shot.
Yeah, their reflex is very, very fast. Like I liken it to like the deer, and the deer's drinking.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? He's drinking out the river, but he's always looking for the bear. He'll take a sip, and he'll always be on the lookout.
Right. Roy and Tarver is very close like that.
Yeah, high strung, like very tightly strung, and they have that reflex that And then when they hit you when they're tight like that, it hurts even more because they're so tight.
Right.
They lock that shot on you. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So a fighter who was supposed to be, or was mostly absurdly relaxed in a ring, was James Toney. He's a bona fide all-time great. You beat him twice in 1986. I watched your first fight with him today, but just to get in the mood for this podcast. And I've got to say, Montell, for a guy who only had 14 pro fights and had the relatively scant amateur background that you had, it is an amazing performance. And to a great extent, you kind of beat James Toney at his own game in a lot of ways.
Well, I'm a defensive wizard, man. I'm a little bit faster than him. I'm faster than him. I'm a defensive wizard, and I'm a student of the game. We sparred in '92.
Yeah,
I was still an amateur. When I got home from Barcelona, Jackie Callan called me and said, "James, want to manage you. We're gonna fly you up and see how you look." I'm like, all right. So I came to the gym. I sparred, I'm going to say Booker T. Word.
Yeah.
I sparred Booker T. Word, who was real hot. He had just knocked out Anthony Hembrick. I sparred him at Galaxy Boxing Club, and I played with him.
Mm-hmm.
I played with him, and Pops was like, Bill Miller was like, okay, well, you did good. We're going to spar Dennis Andres next. Dennis Andres was the former light heavyweight champion of the world.
Big time.
Right. I played with him.
Yeah.
And I dominated the gym. I played with him, and Pops was like, okay. He said, Ice, man. He said, Champ, you looking good. He said, we sparring James tomorrow. And not in a way where like me being an asshole, but I'm an asshole. So the way he said it, I took it as disrespect, like I was supposed to be scared or like I cared or something. So I brought my A game, and I'm not gonna say that I whooped James Toney ass and nothing like that, but he didn't do nothing to me.
Yeah,
nothing.
Wow.
He did nothing to me.
So when you got the call,
I was an amateur.
When you got the call in 1996, you were like, "Let's go."
Pardon me?
When you got the call to fight him in 1996,
they called me in '95, which was 3 years later. I knew I had got better. You know what I'm saying? They say I think the big light heavyweight from Leonzo Barber, I think, turned the fight down. And HBO called. They said, my manager was like, man, HBO wants you to fight James Toney. Said, no, he said the first thing I'm gonna ask you is, do you think you could beat James Toney? I said, hell yeah, I could beat James Toney. I said, without a doubt. I'm not even worried about that. He said, well, Got pulled out. He said they offering 60,000. I said, tell him give me 100, I'll fight him. He hung up. He called me back in 10 minutes. Said, okay. I said, shit, I should have told him more. They agreed so fast. I'm like, shit, I should have said more. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like going to that fight was, I just really just had to, like my close friends, like my friends was coming to me like, man, you really think you could beat him? I said, bro, just sit back and watch. I said, I ain't gonna say nothing. Just watch. Yeah. I got in tip-top shape. I remember I went to camp with Riddick Bowe. We trained in Palm Springs for the fight. I had some great sparring partners. I was in tip-top shape, and I had a conversation with Theo Torrance. I'm like, man, I'm in camp. It's the middle of camp. I said, I'm fighting James Toney, but I ain't nervous or I ain't even excited or nothing. He said, man, stay like that. Yeah. And Eddie Futch was like, man, you so calm under pressure, man. You like ice. And that's when the ice, you know what I'm saying? That's when the ice really, I was ice my whole career, but that's when the ice really, came to hand. Eddie Futch was like, man, you like ice. And I just wasn't upset. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I'm like, it's James Toney. I mean, it's just somebody I got, he put his pants on the same way I do.
Mm-hmm. And he needed to win because he just lost to Roy.
He had just lost to Roy Jones. 3 months early, he was number one. He was the number one pound for pound fighter in the world.
Yes.
I fought him with 14 pro fights. He had just lost, so he's gonna come back and try to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I shut that down.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about it. Like James Toney, at that time that you fought him, was one of the greatest fighters in the world. Talented.
He was number one pound for pound 3 months before I fought him.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you said, he's looking to get that back. When he's coming back, he's not looking to, you know what I mean? He's looking to get that back. So it's not like he was looking past you or anything. He was prepared. He was 100% in.
I'm a little young punk in the game. You know what I'm saying? Standing in his way. He supposed to came in, blew me out, and got a rematch with Roy or whatever. But
in the third round, he buzzed you with this short right hand counter, and you staggered. But then you did something very cute just at that moment. Tell me about it.
Well, the whole thing was what happened. I mean, Eddie Futch told me, he said, man, do not throw a right hand without come back with a left hook because he's a great counter puncher. Mm-hmm. The first 3 rounds were so easy that I got big-headed. I said, man, I'm like, he ain't shit. And I got big-headed, threw the right hand, he caught me. And it woke me up, and I got back to business after that.
You made him miss. It was kind of cool because you staggered. You held your feet.
Yeah.
He came in like almost for the kill with a chopping left hook.
I took a long walk around the ring just to catch my breath, get my head right, and I saw him at the corner of my eye. I saw him coming with a big bomb. So I act like I ain't seen him. So when he threw it, I just ducked and he fell. Yeah. And that's pretty much like the little 10 seconds that I need to clear my head. But a friend of mine, a friend of mine told me, he said, man, if James Toney would have hit you, he'd have killed you. Yeah, I said, but I saw him. I was like, I know y'all was nervous. I said, but I saw him. I won't worry about it.
So let me ask you, do styles make fights? And what is it about you that made it so hard for James? What is it that you did that made it so hard for James?
James Toney, like we said, one of the greatest fighters in history. Mm-hmm. But one thing about James Toney, he can't move on his feet.
Okay.
He if you stand in front of him, he'll pick you apart.
Yeah.
Like he did Iran Barkley. Barkley's still right in front of him, tried to bang with him. He picked him apart. Yeah. I just kept stepping around to his right. I kept stepping around to his right. Well, his left, kept stepping around to my right, and kept making him pick up his feet. As long as he picked up his feet, he can't throw punches. Yeah. So a couple of times where I took a break, and it was my second 12 rounder in my career ever. Yeah. I went 12 rounds 2 times. That was the second time. So a couple of times I got a little tired and I had to catch my breath. So I would just stand in front of him and just move and just pick off shots and just not get hit with nothing clean.
Mm-hmm. You always appeared to be threatening in that fight too. Like you're always ready to punch at any point in time.
Right. Well, I'm a counter puncher. So if I see a shot, if I see an opening, I got to take it.
You always got to be ready. Yeah.
But you have to remember too, James is a great defensive fighter. So I had to pick my spots to make sure, because one thing about me, my whole career, I ain't really waste punches.
Yes.
When I threw my shot, I ain't throw a lot of shots, but when I threw shots, I mostly kind of connected because you know what I'm saying. I threw shots where I know that they can land.
Yeah, and then off the back of that win, it put you into the title shot against Roy Jones.
Well, no, not really. See, I fought James in '95, the first time.
I checked it today. Are you sure it was '96?
No, that's what I'm saying. I fought James the first time in '95. So
yeah, true. That was on the undercard of De La Hoya versus Molina, right?
So basically, almost 2 years went by. I fought him in January of '95 and December '96. So basically, that's like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But 2 years, I had 10 fights. I didn't get one TV fight. James fought on TV. James was James. Tony is still a star. But I didn't get a TV fight. Nobody treated me like I won no fight. Like it was one of the huge upset. Nobody said nothing about it. So I didn't get no. Like, okay, me and Oscar fought on the card that day.
Yeah.
My career did like that, and his took off. And everybody thought Oscar lost. So it was just crazy. You know what I'm saying?
That was interesting that, did you watch that fight, Molina versus De La Hoya?
I mean, a lot of people thought Oscar lost. I mean, it was a close fight, but, it is what it is. But like I said, just show you the disrespect that I had to deal with my whole career.
Do you think people didn't understand? What was it about your style that people didn't understand that you wish they did?
I think people, the stuff that I did, I made it look so easy that people never got me no credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
I made it look so easy, people never gave me credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the stuff that I did was just textbook. I didn't slip all over here. I just slipped just enough to come right back. I stayed right in the pocket.
Yeah.
And people just like, I had 1,000 people outside the ring say, "Man, I can whoop your ass." And then when you get in the ring, he's like, "Man, I can't believe how you do this." Yeah. They say you make it look so easy outside the ring. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I was just a student of the game, man. It was just
that's the thing with that, and that's the point that I'm always trying to make with the person, at least the average person that watches a boxing match. They don't really understand what it takes, the elements it takes to get in the ring and to get to that level that fighters are at. Boxing appears to be, because it's just your hand, something everybody can do and everyone feels they can do it and be successful at it. But you're a connoisseur when you're at the level that you're at and you're fighting the people you're fighting, you're doing the things you're doing against them. These men have spent 20 to 25 years with punches coming at them pretty much every day. So they understand what to do with it and all the rest of that. Average person, they're not going to experience that.
Yeah, I went to LA. I got to LA in December '90. I was just looking at my book, my USA book the other day. Yeah. My last fight was December. My last fight was in '83. Mm-hmm. I got to LA in December, and I fought at the end of January. After not fighting for 8 years, and I made it to the championship of the novice 201 heavyweight championship. And you know what I'm saying? And I did that. I was sparring Reggie Johnson.
Yeah.
Who was the #1 middleweight. I was sparring Reggie Johnson and Larry Musgrove, who was ranked high in the world. Yeah. I was sparring them every day. I ain't had no amateur fights.
Wow.
Yeah. 5, 6, 7 amateur fights. I'm sparring these guys every day. And that's Reggie Johnson. Reggie Johnson is the reason that I got to where I was at. Because when I sparred Reggie Johnson, it gave me the confidence to know I could do some big things in boxing.
When people talk about underrated fighters, Reggie Johnson's got to be one of them.
Yeah, Reggie. You know what I'm saying? Knocked out William Guthrie. It was a beautiful punch. Great fight to beat everybody. Reggie was my man. Reggie was like my big brother. He took me under his wing. He took me all over LA. He let me learn the game, and I got mad respect for that brother.
Yeah. So if we go forward to the Roy Jones fight, the one you won, the first fight, Roy Jones's first professional loss. The trouble is when you talk about the lack of respect you get, and we'll get onto the Hall of Fame and your passionate belief that you should be enshrined in the Hall of Fame a little later. But one of the problems with it is because you won via disqualification. You were giving him all the trouble he could handle up to that moment, and he was getting frustrated, and that's probably why he hit you on the floor. But does it bug you that it ended the way it did, given the lack of respect you get?
Yeah, because I was beating him. I was beating him fair and square. The only reason, he was winning on 2 points on one scorecard, 1 point on one scorecard, and I was winning 1 point. They gave him a bogus knockdown. He didn't knock me down. He led with me and I slipped and fell. If he don't get credit with that knockdown, I'm winning the fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. But like I told Roy, I said, man, your fans love you so much that they hate me because you hit me on my knee.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do nothing but laugh about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the man, he didn't knock me down and then hit me. I took a knee. You know what I'm saying? I took a step back and took a knee, and he loaded up twice, so he was frustrated.
Now, when you took that knee, did you take the knee because you were buzzed? Like you felt?
He threw a right hand, and you know, in boxing, you only had a split second decision.
Yeah.
The split second was either catch it or roll with it.
Yeah.
And it was coming so fast, I tried to roll with the right hand. Yeah. I ended up getting hit in the back of the head.
Okay.
So I just told myself, Montell, you winning this fight. I said, take a knee, and we got to win these last 3 rounds. And that's what I did. So when I sat down, took a knee, I wasn't even paying no attention. I just feel a guy hit me. And I tried to look at the referee, then he hit me again. I just thank God that I didn't get killed or hurt that night.
Well, it's really wise that a lot of guys get hit and they are really hurt, and they get hit and they get hurt worse, and then finally get the lights turned out. So for you to be that aware, you got hit with a good shot, or you got wherever it hit, maybe hit you behind the head or whatever it is, but you had the awareness to take the knee, which is important.
Yeah, I mean, man.
How did it feel that night?
This knowledge that you're showing, like when you're buzzed, no matter how it happened, you're buzzed, but you have the knowledge and the instinct to take that knee, knowing that that's the correct thing to do at that point in time. That's
right. Well, I know Roy Jones is a great puncher and a great finisher, so let me take a knee, clear my head out. You know what I'm saying? But the whole thing was after the fight, man. I'm riding the limousine back to the hotel. I'm telling my wife, I was like, man, I hate to win like this. I said, man, I was beating this man fair and square. I ain't need to win like this. But what happened was the WBA convention was going on in Atlantic City, and I went to the convention the next day, and about 20 champs like, man, you won that fight. Like he did that for a reason because he ain't want to fight no more. Don't let nobody say you ain't win that fight. So have
you talked with Roy since the fight?
Yeah.
I have never really talked to him about. I don't remember talking to him about us fighting or nothing like that. Wow. But we had conversations, but I ain't never brought up. I
spoke to him about the rematch because after winning in that fashion, and you got the rematch. Now this is if people want to knock your resume, Montell, or if they want to try and put it in perspective when you say I should be up here. What they would say, they probably cite the disqualification in the first fight, which wasn't your fault. Then they'll talk about the 1-round KO loss in the second fight. But you said all kinds of skullduggery. You said went on.
I'm not. You know why I'm not worried about that? I had 59 pro fights. I know I got a chin. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been knocked. I ain't never been hurt where I couldn't continue. Whatever. I didn't warm up 5 minutes for that fight. I got proof. People was there. Elvis Grant was at the fight. He could let you know they rushed me out, didn't let me warm up, and they did it on purpose. And Roy Jones, lawyer, Chris Bird called me the day after the fight, said, "Man, John told me what happened, man. I'm sorry." I said, "What you mean? What you talking about?" He said, "Man, they rushed you out on purpose, man. They did that on purpose, man. They did that because they ain't want you to be at your 100%." So I think 20 years went by. I finally saw John, and I said, "What did you tell Chris Bird?" He said, "We fucked you." He said, "We did it on purpose. Like we rushed you out on purpose." He said, "Your manager, promoter knew about it. That's what broke my heart."
John who?
John Horner.
John Horner. John Horner. We're talking about having him on this show, so we could stick that to him, Silk.
He told me. He said we did it on purpose. He said we.
Did you not think of saying? Did somebody in your team not think of saying, "Listen, bollocks, we're the A side. We ain't coming out. I'm the champ. I'm not coming out till I'm ready."
See, the whole thing was, the first fight I had a dressing room where it was a door I could close or lock and keep people out. The second fight, it was in the middle of a big ass room, and they just had sheets and tents.
Yeah.
So everybody coming, "Hey, Griff, you got 5 minutes. Griff, come on. It was just so much confusion going on and everything. And I talked to Roy about it. He ain't denied. So it is what it is, man. I got to live with that for the rest of my life, but I know what happened.
Yeah.
And that's not enough for you, though. Like, you still feel ultimately when you fight, there's 100,000 ways to lose, but only one way to win. You know what I mean? Right. So I guess as fighters, we kind of have to take responsibility for it. Do you think, are there any fighters that have lost, like good high quality fighters that have lost, that could say they lost only because of their own inability to handle the situation? How often does that happen?
I mean, I could say this. I had 8 losses in my career. They say I lost 8 times. I know I didn't, but they say I lost 8 times in my career. I have never been in the ring with nobody who I felt was better than me.
Yeah.
I've never been in the ring with nobody I said, shit, he's better than me.
Yeah.
Like I can't beat this guy.
Yeah.
That never happened.
You never gone into a fight thinking you were going to lose either. You've never gone.
No, I'm just saying during the fight or whatever. I never, even though I got 8 losses, I've never been in the ring with nobody. I said, okay, well this guy beat me up or what. That never happened.
Yeah.
And also, you've also sparred with Floyd Mayweather, right? In terms of the skill to skill.
Yeah, I mean, Big Floyd. We was at Richard Steele gym. Big Floyd was trying to look for work from Floyd, and my brother like, man, we aspire you. And Big Floyd, he was like, nah. Then he looked. I guess he felt like disrespected because we asked him. He was like, yeah, come on, y'all can spar. And we did about 4 or 5 rounds. I mean, it was just tit for tat. I mean, he couldn't do nothing to me. He couldn't do nothing to me.
Yeah.
He couldn't. He didn't. Floyd didn't hit me with a clean punch.
Yeah.
And they say he's the pound for pound greatest fighter ever.
Yeah.
But they don't all say that. That some people say that who lack perspective, Montell. We don't all say it, and we don't say it.
You know what though? I say this as time been going by, and I'm getting older. It's a couple of interviews I heard him say. He said some stuff that made sense. He said people want to hold it against me because I don't have brain damage like Muhammad Ali. And I started thinking. I said, man, I said, you gotta. Floyd is a lot greater than I gave him credit for.
He had a perfect career and he was amazingly skilled. I asked Roy Jones about it.
And wait, but he was the greatest businessman ever.
That's where I'm coming.
He's the greatest businessman ever.
I'll agree with
he
that.
never lost a fight. He beat 23 world champs. It's an argument that he's the greatest fighter in history.
The 23 world champs, that's very contextual.
Yeah.
It's easy to beat world champs when you're falling over them. When you go to the corner store and you meet 3 world champs on the way, the more world champs they make, the more world champs there's going to be.
But you can't blame Floyd for that.
I can, but I don't have to cite the statistic like it. Sugar Ray Robinson beat 17 undisputed world champions. Do you know how many Floyd beat?
How many?
Yes, none.
You said undisputed?
Yeah.
I mean, what one? It was 1 or 2 belts back then, so yeah, it's easy to be undisputed.
But there was only one.
Look, I'm not. You know, I'm not knocking. Look, I'm not. Look, you know what I'm saying. Ray Robinson had 18 losses, man. It's hard to
19.
say a guy. 19 losses. You know what I'm saying? It's an argument. It's hard to say that he was the greatest fighter ever. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And as time gone by, you got
Montell.
Michael Silk can understand this right here. Training is different. All these guys now is in better shape. They got better training, techniques, better things. So
I don't
Ray
know.
Robinson, Ray Robinson would be. I think Ray
that.
Robinson would be a step behind everybody now.
Listen, I don't think Sid believes that about trainers today. Training. Go on, Silk.
I don't believe trainers are better today than they were yesterday.
No. I didn't say trainers. I bet I'm saying
training.
The training with the different things you're doing, going to Big Bear, training a mile up in the air,
But these guys in those days, like Rocky Marciano and Archie Moore and all those great fighters, or Sugar Ray Robinson, they would put themselves. I mean, they're the ones who originated training camps, and they would go there and just absolutely focus and lock in on that.
Yeah, but it has gotten better. It has gotten better. When you see, and one thing I hate. Well, I mean, even though, like I said, they did it. They try to tell people they did it for the safety of fighters, but they did it because a 12-round fight fit in an hour.
Yes,
in an hour time slot. That's why they changed the rules.
I 100% agree with you on that. That's why they brought it from 15 to 12. It wasn't because
So you got fighters now that's fighting 12 rounds hard that ain't even tired. That's not even, you know what I'm saying? That's not even breathing hard.
Yeah.
Like you look at Terrence Crawford, these guys after 12 rounds, mate, they fresh. Like, you know, they could go 3 more.
But you see Ken Buchanan and Ismail Laguna doing the 15 rounds like they're fresh as well. I mean,
I sparred 15 rounds twice in my career. Once as an amateur and once as a pro. I know I could have did it if I had to do it. We all could have did.
It's like you pick your demands. The demands that are made of you, the human body will.
And you know something? Michael did do that distance against Frank Tate.
I actually did 15 rounds. I didn't go. All the 15, but with Tate, we went 15. And
so he's actually done that.
And it's absolutely not an issue at all. I mean,
I sparred Frank Tate in Vegas.
Oh yeah,
for real? Oh, it's great. And
I just put it to, like, I ain't gonna say what happened, but he wouldn't spar me no more. I just say that. That's my man. I love him. We sparred. He went up to him and Eddie Mustafa came up to Eddie Futch and said, "Mr. Futch, we need to spar Montell for this fight." After sparring was over, he said, "Mr. Futch, we not sparring no more."
Who was he fighting?
That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Who was he fighting?
Oh, I couldn't even remember. This is in Vegas. I forgot who he was fighting.
This is in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 90s when I first got to Vegas.
Oh, so when did you turn pro again? Sorry.
I turned pro in 93.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
After the how do you feel about the post Roy Jones phase of your career, Montell? Because your kind of claim for the Hall of Fame is based on those beating Roy and James back to back and beating James.
I mean, when they both went in last year, I'm like, man, I mean, ain't nothing else to talk about. I mean, when both of them went, I mean, look, I was at the fight when Roy fought John Ruiz when he won the heavyweight title. I was at the fight, the third fight. Second. I was at the second fight when Tarver knocked him out. And the crazy part about it, after the first fight, Roy said, "Man, I just had problems making weight." So the second fight, I saw him at the weigh-in. He said, "Look, I ain't got no excuses now. I'm good." So when Tarver caught him, I mean, it was just a crazy punch. Tarver is a southpaw, and he threw a left hook.
Yeah,
that's very. Nobody throws left hook as a southpaw.
As a southpaw,
and he caught Roy with a punch he ain't see, and it changed his whole career. But I went to I talked to Roy the day before the fight. He said, "Man, I'm not gonna stay at heavyweight. I'm gonna come down and fight you. I promise I'm gonna fight you." I said, "Bro," and I was like, "Okay." But once he won and how good he looked, I went to his after party. I said, "Bro," I said, "Man, you're on top of the world." I said, "I'll never fight you again." I said, "Congratulations." And I hugged him, and that was it. When he went back down to 78.5, I thought that was a mistake. Because I remember Mark Ratner came out right before the fight. He said, man, Roy's 199 pounds right now. They just couldn't believe that he put like those 24 pounds of muscle on without no fat. So you know what I'm saying? He just I think he shocked his body. He came back down to 75, and he just was never the same no more after that. I know he probably regretted. He probably should have fought Holyfield a big money fight. And if he lost, he said he was too small. But when he went back down to light heavyweight, it changed.
They were even talking about Tyson at one point after he beat John Ruiz in 2003. They were talking about Mike Tyson versus Roy.
Yeah, him going back down light heavyweight that really hurt him.
Do you really believe that hurt?
Yeah, you got to think. Roy was 35. Roy was 35, 36 years old. Yeah, so he went up to 199 and come back down to 75. He just killed himself.
But it was done systematically, though, right? Like, why wouldn't deflating, I guess?
35, 36 years old. 35, 36 years old. Put your body, you know what I'm saying? You gain all that weight, lifting weights and whatever else he did to 199, and then try to kill himself to get back down to 75, and he wasn't the same no more after that.
No, you know what he told me, guys, when I interviewed him about 9 years ago? He said the reason he did it was because he thought Bob Fitzsimmons won the middleweight, light heavyweight, then the heavyweight titles, then dropped back down to light heavyweight and won it again. He was actually wrong about that. Fitzsimmons won the middleweight, then the heavyweight, then went back down for the light heavyweight. He said if he'd known that, he wouldn't have done it. I don't know if I believe him, but he says he thought he was replicating a feat that didn't exist. And if he'd have understood it, he might not have gone back down.
I mean, like, man, I'm not taking no nothing from nobody else, man. Roy Jones and Muhammad Ali are the two most God-gifted fighters ever that we've ever seen in our lives. Roy just hung on a little bit too long. He went up to 199, killed himself to get back down to 75. It was a huge mistake, and he paid for it. but it don't take nothing away from the fighter he is.
Sometimes I agree with you right there. And sometimes people put on, like when they're challenging, like Roy did, he had the super middleweight title, went up to 175, fought for the light heavyweight title, then moved up and fought for the heavyweight title. I don't understand why they put on such extreme amounts of weight. Is it only because the organization won't recognize you unless you are a certain weight? Like you can't come into the fight at 168 and fight for the 175-pound title?
You can
be
yeah.
69. If you want 69, you can.
Yeah.
You have to be outside your weight division. You have to be outside your. So if you're super middleweight at 168 and you want to fight for 175-pound title, you have to be over 168 pounds in order to fight for the light heavyweight. Or like so if I wanted to fight, if you wanted to fight for the heavyweight title of the world, you'd have to be over 202 pounds.
No, you don't, Silk. You don't have to be, because historically that was never the case. Bob Fitzsimmons came in about 187 to fight Joe Frazier, right?
So that's what I'm saying. We lost.
There is no rule. There is no rule like that. I'm pretty sure.
So then why are people choosing to fight? To put on that kind of weight in order to fight for the title? Why?
Because they think they have to. If you look at Michael Spinks when he went up and beat Larry Holmes, he engaged Mackie Shellstone, who also worked with Roy for the Ruiz fight, and he thought he didn't want to make the mistake he thought Bob Foster had made by coming in too light and too skinny.
But I don't understand what's the upside of that. What is the upside of coming in?
Feeling that you've got enough physical presence in there, and the feel that you'll be strong enough and you won't get pushed around too much.
Do you agree with that, Montell?
I'm sorry.
Do you feel that the guy, like we say, when Michael Spinks came out to fight Larry Holmes, he put on 25 pounds of muscle. He worked with the same guy that worked with Roy to get Roy up to 199. Michael's questioning whether they even need to do that and whether they couldn't come in lighter. I said it's because they feel they need the size to compete physically with these guys. What's your opinion of that?
Well, John Ruiz probably like 120, 124 pounds. So yeah, he had to put some weight on to be able to take them shots.
But Roy is a reflex fighter, right? Much like how you were. How does added weight benefit you? How does added weight benefit you?
Like I said, to fight because Mark Radner. That's why he had to have a weigh-in before the fight. He had to be 199. He had to show them that he was heavy enough to make the fight go on. He had to gain the weight.
But when you say he had to make the weight, it's not. He could come in at 147 pounds, but he's fighting. That doesn't. Sorry, is that your phone? Someone's going to get that? No.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what? There's no prerequisite set. Like you don't have to weigh over 200 pounds in order to fight for the heavyweight title.
But look what happened to Bob Foster when he came in almost not much more than heavyweight against Frazier.
But is that because he was 175 pounds? Or is that because he was skinny, or is it because he got hit?
Both,
but I don't suppose it helped that he hadn't cut.
Yeah, but Roy had to be a certain weight. Mark Radner came out and said Roy had to be a certain weight before that fight.
But how can being heavier help you take a punch better? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you absorb a punch because, for instance, when you get hit in the head, your brain is like you get concussed. That's a different thing altogether. So maybe if the other guy weighed less, that would take away. That would help your ability to take a punch more. But I don't understand how.
It was a rule that he had to be at a certain weight.
I mean, I think Silk is trying to get into a conversation a little bit wider here, where he's saying, do you really have to be as heavy as a guy or as big as a guy or bigger to compete with him, or could you just be your natural self with your skills and your reflexes?
It
just depends. It depends who the fighter is.
Exactly, it's about skills, right? So then it becomes about skills. Because listen, Montell, as a middleweight or as a super middleweight, you boxed heavyweights. I did too. I remember when I was a lightweight and I boxed heavyweights. It's just something you do. It's natural. You do this in the gym, it's sparring, but they're still really throwing bombs at you, and it's all about not getting hit. It's about
But
defense.
still,
It's about
but they don't throw bombs at you like they would another heavyweight. Most of them, do they? The protocol.
Oh, hell
if you're
yes.
fighting
No,
with a
no, no,
smaller
no,
guy-
no.
Nah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
bro.
no, I can't. Yeah, Hakeem Rockman threw bombs at me. When I
Yeah,
sparred.
yeah. No, it's real.
I
for
hear
real.
that, but I sparred with a bunch of guys myself as well, and some professionals. Yeah, I sparred with Wayne Braithwaite, who was a WBC cruiserweight champion. And the protocol that I'm aware of from my days in the gym is that if you're bigger than a guy, then you got to go a little easier on him and just work on speed and don't take the piss, as we say in England.
No.
You don't normally go mad. You don't.
Listen,
You normally
nobody got mad, but you can still
watch
throw
your
punches
power a
with-
little
with
bit if you're bigger than a guy.
You can
What,
still
just
throw
don't-
punches with conviction without being mad. A lot of guys knock
still
people
gonna
out
hit.
and they're not even mad at somebody. For instance, I sparred with Ronaldo Snipes, right? Mr. Spinks, Mr. Snipes, Mr. Snipes. And he threw that overhand right at me like he threw it at Larry Holmes. I don't care. If that would have hit me, that would have knocked me into the Gleason's back wall. You know what I mean? But I got out of the way of that stuff. And that's the thing. It's like you're working. A punch is a punch, whether it's coming from someone who's a middleweight or a heavyweight. Yeah, if it hits you, the heavyweight punch is going to create more damage. But the thing is, the art of not getting hit is what you're developing in here. And so I think it's almost detrimental to say, I'm going to put on 25 to 35 pounds in order to be this weight. Maybe if it's a wrestling match, you know the guy like John Ruiz, okay, he'll maul you a lot, and you don't want to just throw you around the ring. But if it's going to be detrimental to your skills, all of a sudden you're not going to be able to throw as many punches. You're not going to be able to hook off the jab. You're not going to be able to use your footwork the way you usually would because you're carrying an extra.
Did Roy not look $1 million against Ruiz at 199 pounds?
Yeah, he didn't have an ounce of fat on him.
Do you know what I mean? So
He didn't. But I don't think that he did as much as he could have done.
maybe not. We got 14 minutes because I told Montell he'd be out of here within an hour because he's got people doing things to see. But listen, Montell, passionately, almost every day, you campaign on your own behalf for induction into the Hall of Fame, boxing's highest chamber of honor, and you say, basically looking at some of the people who've been inducted and all the rest of it, and the fact that you beat two of the greatest fighters of your era, you beat them back to back, and you beat one of them twice, and they can't say he was shot when you beat him twice because look at some of the great peaks he went on to achieve. Okay,
Silk, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How many people have beat pound for pound fighters?
How many people? Sorry?
How many fighters can say they beat a pound for pound fighter? Not many, right?
Yeah, not many.
I beat two. I beat two guys that was pound for pound #1 in the world.
the only thing you've got to be careful with, Montell, you did, and I totally understand where you're coming from, but pound for pound is not a factual thing. It is a consensus thing.
I mean,
It's
what I'm saying,
opinion-based
if they picking this guy #1, that means he's more than good.
They were the premier fighters of their age.
I get that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, okay. This is all I gotta say. If you name the pound for pound fighters in the world, it's gonna be Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be those names. And James, Tony, and Roy Jones.
They're all-time greats. Yeah, they're all-time greats, and so is James. Tony,
and Roy Jones, all-time great. Both of them are.
So you really are. Because some people might say, yeah, but the thing is, Montell, you're doing this yourself. You're asking for this kind of praise and you're asking for this honor yourself. But I guess your argument is nobody else is betting for you, and you
right? No, ain't nobody else brought my name up, so I got to bring it up myself.
Because a lot of people don't know. But let me ask you something, Montell. If we were to ask Roy and James, what do you think they'd say?
Roy Jones said, "I am."
Yeah. That's everything right there.
Roy Jones said, James, I asked James, he didn't answer me, but Roy Jones said, hell yeah, you are.
Because I read a quote from James Toney the other day. He disputes the decisions with you, doesn't he? He complains that he thinks that one of those fights, or I don't know about both of them, but he complains one of them was taken away from him. That's what he says, right?
Watch him. All you gotta do is watch it.
I know. I watched it tonight, and
all you gotta do is watch it. If you not just a James Toney lover, and you can't think by yourself. If you watch both fights, you see I won both of them.
And I watched it before we came on air, and I said to you backstage before we came live, I think it was just an incredible performance, and it reminded me, not even reminded me, but it reinforced to me what a very, very good fighter you were. Your boxing IQ was just so varied and off the charts. And looking at your relative inexperience, it's just an amazing performance. You could seriously fight your ass off. But I am not 100% convinced you're a Hall of Famer. But I know there's people in the Hall of Fame who are less deserving than you, and they're already
so that mean I am then.
Well, here's my devil's advocate.
I got 50 wins. There's people with 25 wins in the Hall of Fame.
I know, Montell, and they didn't beat Tony and twice and Roy Jones. If I was going to make a case against it, saying you were close but no cigar, and I'm not saying I believe this, I make the case for the sake of the show. One is because the nature of you won the world title, unfortunately, was by disqualification, and secondly, you lost it in the first defense by an early knockout. Regardless of, I'm
gonna send both of y'all. Well, I'm gonna send. I know you. I got you. I don't got Silk, but I'm gonna send. I know. I think I got Silk on another.
Yeah, you got me.
I'm gonna send you. Some information I know to show you that I got cheated.
And on your side, here's on your side. That's the argument against. Why you're close but no cigar. The argument that you should be in is because you beat James Toney twice when no one can say he was over the hump and past it. You beat Roy Jones regardless of him hitting you on the floor. That's his fault, not yours.
They both was in a prime.
And if Otaro Gatti, Ray Mancini, and Darren McGuigan are in, Montell Griffin should be in. There's the argument for you, okay?
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Look, man, like I said, I don't got no disrespect. I don't have nothing to say about all them other guys. I hope the best for them. I'm just talking about Montell Griffin. I know my resume. I fought 4 years. I fought 4 years when I beat James Toney. Can't nobody say they did that.
Yeah.
I fought 4 years. I had my first fight in 91. In 1995, I beat James Toney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I turned pro. I was only pro 2 years when I beat James Toney.
Yeah, and I hope you don't think that I don't understand that just because I make the devil's advocate.
No, I'm not worried about it. I've been in the ring. I've been in the ring with 4 Hall of Famers, and I had my way with all of them. Yeah.
Are you in the Atlantic City Hall of Fame as yet?
Still not yet. How? I had the biggest upset in Atlantic City. I'm 2 or 3 in Atlantic City with the biggest upset. I beat James Toney twice in Nevada. I'm not in the Nevada Hall of Fame. How? I don't know that.
Because you know Sugar and Silk is going to the Hall of Fame, the Atlantic City Hall of Fame in a couple of weeks' time, in about 10 days' time.
Yeah, I'll be there. My man Shannon Bridge going in.
Yeah. So we can make a little campaign for you then. We can make a protest.
I talked to Ray McCline. I said, bro, there's no way. They putting people in this year that's not better than me. Look, me being quiet ain't did nothing. I just got to open my mouth to be truthful now. They put people in right this year that's not better than me. I ain't got to say their names. You can just look at the names. They're not better than me.
Yeah. It must be frustrating. It must be galling because
I don't frustrated. At 28, 29, 30, I was upset about it, but at 53, I'm pissed off. Yeah, I'm bitter. I'm an old man now. It's getting, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm pissed off because I know what I did. I know what I did. I got in the ring with great fighters and I played with them. How many people can say they played with fighters? I played with fighters, with great fighters, man.
Yeah. How are you these days? How are you enjoying the trainer side of things? I know you made a few trips to England recently. You know, you come over with.
the training fighters now.
It ain't no comparison to getting in the ring fighting yourself. Yeah. Ain't nothing like that Russian glory. Ain't nothing like I fought in Kazakhstan with 60,000 people. Ain't nothing like that. Ain't nothing gonna never take that place.
But you enjoy the coaching though?
It's all right. It ain't boxing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's all right. It ain't 20% of boxing.
Yeah.
I'm still running. I'm still training. I might do a couple of exhibitions.
What's up with that celebrity fight or whatever you were getting involved in?
I really when Roy Jones fought Indio, they said they was gonna do me one. They was gonna give me one. I said okay. I didn't know if they was gonna do it or not. They called me and said I could fight Mark Coleman. I was like, well, older guy, I don't really know how it's gonna turn out, but I just said I'd do it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you know what I'm saying? I'm 53 years old. I changed, you know, so I didn't change my way of living and everything. I stopped drinking. I stopped sugar. Stopped eating sugar. I lost 30 pounds. You know, I run. I fought at 175. I walk around 185 right now. So,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? I could go in the gym. I could spar kids and nobody can still touch me. So, you know what I'm saying? If it's put together, you know what I'm saying? I go and play with whoever, you know what I'm saying, they put in front of me. I'm not letting nobody hit me. That's another thing that being around Muhammad Ali taught me. I saw Muhammad Ali at the years. I saw the punching. I saw the damage that his brain took, and it made my defensive game go to another level because I never wanted to be like him.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that part of Ali's life. Like, it's almost like in boxing at that time, we didn't know that punches could do that to you.
No.
It's kind of
because you know, Ali would. I saw Larry Holmes. I saw Ali spar Larry Holmes, Tony Tubbs. And you know, Ali would go to camp. Ali thought that going to camp taking punishment was going to prepare him his chin to get in shape to take punches, which is totally wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I also feel he didn't have the fire that he had. Like, he didn't have the fire to get out the way of the punches. Sometimes you've been doing this so long that
you know, when he lost 3.5 years of his career.
Yeah, exactly.
And his legs wasn't the same no more. So
wasn't the same.
He like they said, the best thing that ever happened, he found out he could take a punch, was the worst thing that ever happened. He found out he could take a punch.
His great strength was his great liability, his chin.
Well, that fear of being hit helps. Once you normalize getting hit, that's the worst thing you could do. When you tell a fighter, when you tell a fighter he can take a great shot, that's a curse.
I never wanted to get hit. I never wanted to get hit.
Yeah, no matter what. You have a great chin. Oh yeah, great. But you don't want to get it tested. You know what I mean? No. Like Tex Cobb, all those dudes, even Gaddy, they say, yo, you take a great shot. So what do? You stop practicing your defense. Right. It's that's a curse, because always somebody's got your poison. There's always poison.
It's life at the boxing. That's my number one. That's my number one saying. It's life at the boxing. You can't. I got a lot of friends that suffer from brain damage, and you know they said they would never change nothing. They would do it all over again, and but you got to take this stuff serious, man, because you die in the ring. Levander Johnson, I was with him in Vegas the last day he trained. I was with Levander Johnson. He went and fought Jesus Chavez and died. So things are just, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't. Boxing is the real deal, man.
It really is.
In any case, Montell, it's good to see you avoided those kind of repercussions and after effects. You're still highly articulate. There's never a dull moment. Always a great guy to talk to about boxing. I know you've got to be getting on your way soon, but are we going to see you in Atlantic City? We're gonna.
Yeah. I got my ticket. I'll be down there. Ray McClellan invited me down there. Hopefully he invite me down there so I'll go in next year. I don't know, but
I have a quick question for you, Montell. I'm sorry. Before we jump off, I had a quick question. Sorry to interrupt this thought. You have how many children? You have?
I got 4.
4 boys.
3 boys, 1 girl.
3 boys, 1 girl, and none of them wanted to box.
My oldest son is autistic. My second oldest son plays basketball, college basketball. My daughter plays pro basketball in Australia. Wow. And my youngest son, he boxed. He had about 3 amateur fights, but he's a brainiac. He got an academic scholarship at Tennessee State. So I told him, I said, when you graduate, you can box if you want to, but get that degree first.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So none of them follow dad's shoes, really.
No. Like I said, the youngest one had 3 fights, but he just texted me today. Where is it? Is it a gym? I know somebody in Tennessee you could train at. So I don't know what he's gonna do.
Okay. I love it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation with the inimitable Montell Ice Griffin as much as we have. We'll be back on Sunday as well, because we said we're going to do 2 shows a week now, and we're going to stick to it. There's still not a big fight to talk about. You know that guy, Luis Alberto Lopez, is fighting tonight. The guy who beat Michael Conlan last time, defending his IBF featherweight championship. So we can talk about that maybe, Silk, amongst other things. Montell, thanks. Always a pleasure. Hang around for a couple of seconds when we go off stage. We'll just say goodbye properly.
Thank you, Ice.
I respect, champ.
Ice, brother. You the champ.